Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. India's maximum city, Mumbai, has had a criminal underworld for over half a century. First in the 1970s and 80s, it had resident dons like Haji Mastan, Kareem Lala, Varadarajan Mudaliar and Arun Gavli. Then in the 90s and early 2000s, it had the non-resident dons like Dawood Ibrahim, Chota Shakil, Abu Salim and Chota Rajan. Sensational killings, extortion calls and police encounters were all par for the course in the Mumbai of the 1990s and early 2000s. But then over the last 10 years, there was a lull. The underworld went underground. Many gang lords like Chota Rajan and Abu Salim were brought to justice. Now the only ones who got away were Karachi-based gangster Dawood Ibrahim and his lieutenant Chota Shakil, the so-called D Company, because they were protected by the Pakistan Army's ISI in Pakistan. But in 2024, there's an interesting new trend. The gangs are back in Mumbai. On the 12th of October, shooters gunned down former Maharashtra minister and three-time MLA Baba Siddiqui in Bandra. But here's the thing. The gangster believed to have ordered Siddiqui's killing is Lawrence Bishnoi, a gangster from Punjab. And bizarrely, Bishnoi is in a prison in Gujarat awaiting trial. The questions we are asking on the News9 Plus show tonight are: number one, the motive. What could be the possible reason for a gangster from Punjab to kill a Mumbai politician? Question number two, if Bishnoi is in jail in Gujarat, who runs his gang? Question number three, why is Bishnoi after superstar Salman Khan? He's targeted him in the past. Question number four, more importantly, why is Lawrence Bishnoi operating in Mumbai? And finally, question number five, will this sensational assassination of Baba Siddiqui see a territorial war between the D Company, Dawood Ibrahim's gang, and Lawrence Bishnoi? Joining me to discuss this on our show tonight are former DGP Punjab, Shashikant, Professor Dhanraj Vanjari, former ACP Mumbai Police, senior journalist Kiran Tare from Mumbai, and in the studio I have with me my colleague Deepak Badana, who's tracked Lawrence Bishnoi for more than 2 years. I want to start by asking my former colleague Kiran Tare this. Kiran, you've covered crime, politics, real estate, this unholy trinity that's literally governed the Mumbai underworld for many, many decades. Tell us, with your experience as a journalist, why this sensational killing of Baba Siddiqui? What's the motive? Question number one on everyone's mind. Why does a gangster from Punjab want to kill a Mumbai politician?
Sandeep, I think this is the case of contract killing. He was given a contract to eliminate Baba Siddiqui, and he has executed it. Yesterday night only, Mumbai police have arrested one person who is known as Praveen Lonkar from Pune. And Praveen Lonkar and his brother Shubham Lonkar, they are the notorious criminals. They had connections with Lawrence Bishnoi gang. The police are saying that they had met one of the Bishnoi gang members in Haryana's jail. And after that, they came to Mumbai. They were working in Pune. They hired two people from Pune, and the killing was executed. I think this is a clear-cut case of contract killing, which was happening in Maharashtra, but not on a political front. Earlier, businessmen or the real estate guys, some big Bollywood celebrities, they were threatened. But after a long time, a politician has been eliminated. But my guess is that there are no political reasons behind it. It could be a pure case of business rivalry. Right. It could be a pure case of some dispute over the real estate development here in Mumbai. But the contract killing, and again, one more answer is here. Why Lawrence Bishnoi is operating in Mumbai? If he is really behind this killing, why there is Lawrence Bishnoi? Because Sandeep, I think there is a vacuum in the gangsters field in Mumbai last couple of years. Dawood Ibrahim has entered into the real estate business. He's no more a road sharp gangster now. Chota Rajan is behind the bar. Ravi Pujari has been arrested. So there is a big vacuum, and Lawrence Bishnoi believes that he is the right person who can fit into the shoes of Dawood Ibrahim.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very important statement there, Kiran. The fact, and coming from you, who's covered crime and politics and real estate in Mumbai for several decades, you know what the lay of the land is, and the fact that there is possibly a vacuum in Mumbai, in the underworld, which Lawrence Bishnoi is very quickly trying to fill. Professor Dhanraj Vanjari, you've been in the Mumbai police for decades. This new phenomenon of a gangster from Punjab who operates primarily in Delhi, of course he operates across the world as well, but Delhi is usually the center of gravity of his operations. Lawrence Bishnoi operating in Mumbai, you think there is a vacuum that he's trying to fill in Maximum City?
This is the first impact we notice in case of this Baba Syndicate murder, that Lawrence Bishnoi's name has dried up. Now, if you take a network of Bishnoi gang, they already have their base in 7 countries in the world. So you can imagine the magnitude of their spread out of criminal world, and how they can operate. Coming to the news, I think there was no time where the Mumbai city, the financial capital of India, was free from this type of gangsterism. The main purpose is money through extortion. Now it is drug, it is gold, and finally the film and all this lust, you can say in short terms. The city is always an attraction for all sorts of gangsters and their criminal activities. As you have said in the opening, residential and non-residential. This new phenomena, we can say, yes, from Dawood it has started. Dawood and Chota Shakil, they went abroad and they started operating from there. Definitely some international power, like you mentioned, ISI, it is maybe CIA or Mossad or whatever organizations they have internationally in power. They are actually playing with these gangs and the gangs kingpin. Surprisingly, in all encounters, there were a time when in a year we used to gun down more than 250 criminals. But no gang pin was ever brought to news and killed in encounter. Dawood was not killed, Chota Shakil was not killed, Rajan was not killed, Gowli is still alive. Everything is going on. It is a matter of finally come to the news, criminalization of politics in the country.
Criminalization
and
of
politicians,
politics,
some powerful people, otherwise in corporate, you can say, they need this kind of gangs to operate. And that's why these gang operations are there. Now the killing of Siddiqui is under investigation. It will be better to talk less about it, what theory comes up and whether that theory is really fitting stereotypes the law and a truthful theory, that time will decide.
Absolutely. No, interesting point there, ACP sir, the fact that it is the criminalization of politics that has been on for several decades, but more interestingly, it is these gangs that seem to serve a purpose for several powerful, influential people, as Kiran mentioned as well, that this could be a contract killing. And this was a contract that was picked up by Lawrence Bishnoi's gang, which seems to be all the flavor of the last couple of years. But I want to bring in my colleague, Deepak Badana, who's been studying the Lawrence Bishnoi gang for the last 2.5 years. Deepak, tell us this very unique phenomenon of a gang, the Lawrence Bishnoi crime syndicate, where the crime lord, the gang boss, is sitting in prison in Gujarat, in a maximum security prison. He's moved from Tihar to Sabarmati prison in Gujarat, and he seems to be controlling this massive intercontinental network of shooters and gangsters. And how does this gang really operate? Tell us.
So from its origins, it wasn't always a gang. It was actually called the Lawrence Group.
It was a student politics outfit.
Student political outfit based out of Punjab University in Chandigarh, DAV College famously. It's once they became infamous for their violent behavior and for the criminal cases against them, that the media attached the terms gangsters and gang with them. Now coming to the organization, these aren't your classical organized crime groups or syndicates.
Right.
In fact, the word syndicate is a very glorified term for that.
Right.
Their structures aren't crystallized. In fact, it is largely amorphous, in the sense that there isn't a strict hierarchy.
Right.
So it's small
Loose
modules which are
affiliations, yes.
If you look at the people who are involved in the present killing,
Yes.
all of these people, while they may have connections to the Lawrence group,
Right.
all they got was an order on a telephone, they met
Yes.
somebody and they got a gun via courier.
Right.
These aren't people who are core members of the group.
Right.
So this is something that has yet to come out. How has Lawrence Bishnoi actually done it?
Right.
And the question still stands.
How
has
has
he
done
actually
it?
done it?
Indeed. And, Kiran, you also track this story of this very bizarre revenge fest that Lawrence Bishnoi had triggered off over 2 years back when he started targeting Salman Khan. He sent his shooters, you've tracked that story where the shooters positioned themselves outside Salman Khan's farmhouse in Alibag. They were researching when he would arrive there, the kind of vehicle he would be in. So it was very meticulous and he wanted to target Salman Khan. Do you believe that this was more out of the Black Buck case, a fallout of that, or was it just Lawrence Bishnoi trying to make a point, telling the film industry, as Professor Vanjari said, that telling the film industry and the real estate and the other dons of Mumbai that he's the new act in town?
Of course, Sandeep, this is the more possibility that he is trying to ascertain himself that yes, I have arrived and I'm ready to fill up that space. And
Right.
what kind of planning he had done?
Right.
He had raided the farmhouse of Salman Khan
Yes.
in Panvel. He had sent 2 people posing as journalists who
Right.
were moving around his farmhouse. Then 2 bike-bound people came, opened
Yes.
the fire outside Salman's house in Bangkok.
Right.
So
Right.
all these things point towards one person and one modus operandi of that person.
Right.
He's trying to say, he's trying to send a message that yes, I am here and I am there to take care of the sentiments against the people's, those who are violating the people's sentiments. The Facebook post which this person is one of the accused, he has posted
Yes.
yesterday. He had clearly said that Salman Khan is an anti-social element.
Right.
He had killed a black buck. And
Yes.
that is why we are taking a revenge, because he is against the society, he is against the people.
Right.
The message is very clear. He is targeting a superstar, he is targeting a big actor, a
Yes.
rich person. And out of that, he may have tried to extort some money as well.
Right.
Money angle hasn't come out yet.
Yes.
But my guess is that he must have taken some money, and he has now taken one step forward by killing a person, sending out a message that a
Yes.
person who has been provided a Y category security could be eliminated in the middle of the road in Mumbai.
Yes.
That is how Lawrence Bishnoi has tried to send out a very powerful message
Yes.
that I will eliminate, I can do anything if somebody comes in my mind. In
Right,
my brain.
absolutely. Sending out a message. Lawrence Bishnoi sending out a message. Professor Vanjari, you've analyzed gangs in your career in the Mumbai police. Tell us how the cycle usually functions, because it's been a while. We've had a lull in the underworld activities in over a decade, and there's a lot of people out there who might not know how the gangs used to operate in the Mumbai of the 1990s and the 2000s, where the bhai would give a call and his contract killers would land up at your doorstep, either shoot at you if you were unlucky, or if you're lucky, they would just fire in the air. Tell us how this whole climate of fear is created by the gangs like Bishnoi, and how people actually start paying up. This whole cycle, it's not a very Indian phenomenon, not a Mumbai phenomenon, it's a global phenomenon. That's how mafias operate in the United States or in Japan or in Europe even. But give us an idea how you see this playing out now. Do you see a larger number of people now willing to pay extortion callers when those calls start coming? How does this play out?
Actually, you are rightly said that these gangs, they have their operation phenomena. Basically, gangs are getting into birth and coming into existence out of certain socio-economic factors.
Right.
If you see the Karim Lala's gang and
Yes.
Rashid Arba and Haji Mastan, all these things, the reasons were that. And basically, once they come up, they required their own kingdom,
Right.
which can be protected. Now, if you see and read, must be known all over the world, the story of Godfather.
Yes.
The Don Corleone has the same history and similar principles even still apply to the gangs operation
Right.
in India and anywhere in the world.
Right.
Now, as they require protection, where they go, they either go to some religious leader or a politician. As very evidently, it was Balasaheb Thackeray who had said that as against Dawood, we have Arun Gavli, our
Yes.
Hindu Don. This
Yes.
is first time in the history, I think, some
Yes.
religion was connected with the gangs. Now these politicians need these gangsters for what? Setting their score across.
Right.
In
Right.
politics, there
Yeah.
are so many scores being set across, and that's why they are doing it. In Mumbai police, there was an attempt that why these gangsters, why not to create the gangs within administration itself. And if you see the fate of Badlapur incident, if you see Porsche accident in Pune, all machinery is been working for certain illicit purpose. Some doctors are changing samples, some forensic results are managed, and all these things going on. It shows the interest of politicians.
Kiran, a quick follow-on question to what Professor Vanjari was saying. The fact that Lawrence Bishnoi is trying to, if he says, if he's actually trying to create a base in Mumbai, as you were saying, what are the practical difficulties he would face, given the fact that he is not a local? His shooters are not locals. They're all from outside. They're from Delhi, they're from UP, all of these things. So how difficult will it be for an external gangster to strike roots in Mumbai?
My friends in police may not agree with this. But Sandeep, everybody knows that if you want to set a foot in Mumbai,
Yeah.
in the criminal world, you must have a patronage from the police department. That is the sad but the bitter truth in Mumbai. So unless and until Lawrence Bishnoi gets someone from the police department or the ex-police and ex-police
Yes.
officer on his side, he will not be able to send out a very strong foot here in Mumbai. But what Lawrence Bishnoi is trying to say that even if he is not getting local sharpshooters,
Yes.
even if he is not getting the foot soldiers from Mumbai,
Yes.
which was the case in earlier
Right.
90s and early 2000s,
Yes.
he is trying to hire the people from outside with a local support.
Right.
So what has happened in Baba Siddiqui's case, the shooters were from outside,
Yes.
but they were provided the bullets and the gun from the locals, the Pune guys, the Pune brothers, the Lonka brothers. And the Lonka brothers are known for all these notorious activities.
Right, right.
They were arrested for possessing gun in early February this year also. So all these things are happening. So unless and until there is a very strong local connect or local
Yes.
support, no one would succeed in Mumbai. That is the fact.
Right.
Again, I would like to say that Mumbai police is trying to get hold of those local connections. But see, it is a very entire and very vast city. In this city, every single loophole could be exploited in
Right.
someone's favor, and that is exactly what Lawrence Bishnoi is trying to do. We are
Right.
not yet sure whether he has really exercised this contract or not, but Lawrence Bishnoi's men are there. It's definitely his men are there. The Lonka brothers, they have a known connection with Lawrence Bishnoi.
Right.
So Lawrence may or may not be directly involved in this case, but his men are directly involved and they have claimed the responsibility. And given their past, it is very evident they are actively involved in all these cases. And again, this is a challenge for the Mumbai police to tackle this new gang,
Right.
which, as I said earlier, is trying to fill up the vacuum in the criminal world.
Right, absolutely. Challenge for the Mumbai police indeed, Kiran. And I'm going to ask Professor Vanjari this question that's been on my mind. Professor Vanjari, do you see Lawrence Bishnoi's entry into Mumbai as triggering off a gang war between the D company and the Bishnoi gang? And this is something that's come from the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. He mentioned that just yesterday, saying, I really fear that there's going to be gang war in Mumbai. Do you have that same fear based on your understanding of how gangs work on territories? The fact is that if Bishnoi as an outsider comes into Mumbai, that is somebody else's territory. So do you see this possibility of a gang war erupting now with possibly the D company striking back at Bishnoi and his aides? Deepak, so how does the Bishnoi gang really operate? You said it has a very loose network of individuals, but there are some very key people who are involved in this gang operations overseas. Like we've heard a name called Goldie Brar, so and his own brother Anmol Bishnoi. Who are these guys? How do they help Bishnoi?
So there is a core group of people, say give or take 15 or 20 individuals. Yes. And these all belong, they are either family connections or people that they are related to Bishnoi from his days in Punjab and Chandigarh University. Yes. Now most of these people are abroad, although some, including one of his chief lieutenants, Sampat Nehra, yes. They are in prison. The rest of the modules are connected to them through very vague attachments, you know, friends of friends. Right. It is as simple and mind-boggling as it may sound. That is how a lot of these connections are made. So for instance, Sampat Nehra may be transferred to say Tihar, wherein he meets somebody from say a Delhi-based gangsters group. And should the two of them get talking, lo and behold, you have a connection between the Punjab underworld and the Delhi gangster nexus. You know, they've got a connection ready. And they'll do small favors for each other. Now what happens is, all of these small groups are organized in the form of modules. So 6 members operating in Jaipur. And they have little to do with an outfit which may be based out of say Gurgaon. So cracking down on one small module doesn't really do much.
So this is a model that we haven't seen with any other gang
It doesn't.
before.
For instance, in the Sidhu Moosewala case, there were 2 modules that were involved. There was a Swift module, named because there were 4 individuals who travelled in a Swift Desire, and a Scorpio group.
Ah, how interesting. Named after car models.
Yeah, so the 3 or 4 people, they'll hang around together for a few weeks, they'll execute a couple of tasks, they'll disappear into the darkness, and then somebody else will do the next job. While, say, Gulal Barar or Sachin
Goldie
Bishnoi,
Brar, yes.
Goldie Barar, Gulal being his cousin.
Yes.
Goldie Barar sitting in Canada can simply type up a post claiming credit.
So they are not only new age gangsters, Deepak, but they also have a very loose affiliation to each other, and they're not in the traditional sense of the way we understand the underworld as being organized in Mumbai.
A key thing has to be the mentality of these individuals. So, and we've had our conversations around this issue before. If you look at the Mumbai-based gangsters, they were businessmen first, at least the top honchos, right? And they would use violence to protect their interests. This is similar with, say, the Yamaguchi Gumi in Japan, or the triads, or the Italian mafia.
In fact, let me ask Kiran this question. Kiran, you know, the fact that Lawrence Bishnoi has made his presence felt in Mumbai more than one occasion now. He's targeted Salman Khan, he's assassinated Baba Siddiqui. Do you see some retaliation now coming from the Chota Shakil gang, part of the D company? Because this is clearly a territorial war now. And the Chief Minister Shinde, Eknath Shinde, also mentioned that he fears a gang war now erupting in Mumbai because of this shootout. What are your thoughts on this?
I think there will be some kind of retaliation, definitely for sure. But we also should not forget that Lawrence Bishnoi was also involved in the Mahadev app scam, and he had good connection with Saurabh Chandrakar. And also now Saurabh Chandrakar has been arrested. He will be deported soon, and he is based in Dubai. So Dubai, Mumbai, and Karachi, this is a triangle, and I think there will be some kind of retaliation, whether it could be in form of money extortion or whether it could be in form of killing and violence. Lawrence is in the prison, so nobody can harm him. We can assume that he is safe in the prison. But his men are out. His men are roaming in Pune and Mumbai, and a very small place like Akola and Amravati. There is a village called as Anjangaon Surji in Amravati district. And they are based there. So in a tiny village, gangsters are producing. This is very alarming, and I think there could be retaliation. Maharashtra elections are just round the corner. So Maharashtra's political atmosphere is going to charge up with all these shootings and counter allegations and all things. I think there will be definitely a reaction and a very strong counter reaction as well.
Right, absolutely. A very strong reaction and counter reaction. You heard it from journalists who have been tracking Lawrence Bishnoi and this sensational assassination of Baba Siddiqui in Mumbai very recently. But thank you very much, Professor Vanjari, Kiran Thare, and of course my colleague Deepak Badana for telling us more about the Lawrence Bishnoi syndicate and their plans to expand into Mumbai. Israel leads the world in offensive cyber warfare. Now, in 2006, a joint US-Israeli effort is believed to have targeted Iran's nuclear program with a Stuxnet virus, set Iran's nuclear weapons program back by several months. On the 17th of September this year, Israel is believed to have hit thousands of Hezbollah operatives by exploding their pagers. Now, this is the first time possibly that a cyber attack was weaponized into killing and maiming enemies. More recently, a wave of Israeli cyber attacks over the weekend are believed to have hit Iranian digital infrastructure, possibly phase one of Israel's retaliation for the 1st October missile attack from Iran, where Iran launched 180 ballistic missiles against Israeli targets. Joining me to discuss Israel's cyber weapons strategy today are Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director, Intelligence Bureau; Eli Pipsch, Director, International Relations, Israel Defense and Security Forum; Alok Vijayant, formerly with India's NTRO. He used to head the offensive cyber division at the NTRO. And in the studio, I have with me my colleague Deepak Badana, who tracks defense and national security affairs. Gentlemen, welcome to the News 9 Plus show. Mr. Azad, I want to start by asking you this. You know, Israel has demonstrated once again to the world its ability to carry out the most astounding military operations. I mean, the pager attack, for instance, on the 17th of September is something that possibly even an episode of Fauda could not have come up with. What are your thoughts on this very innovative use of, offensive cyber warfare that Israel has developed, and what are the lessons for us here in India, given the fact that we are as, if not as equally vulnerable as Israel is?
I would say that this is one of the most brilliantly conceived operation by Israel. And the pager blasts and so many, there are so many details.
Yes.
That particular kind of attack, how a message, encrypted message goes and how you hold your pager with both hands. So that's why I would say that this is something which is one of the neatly executed operation, which is extremely successful. It definitely has a tremendous impact already, because in places like Iran, they have banned the use of pagers and walkie-talkies on flights. So in that respect, I would say it was one of the finest. There are so many other details which we need to learn from that. How the whole plan, how the whole manufacturing was outsourced to Hungary, how the entire thing was developed by the Mossad within Israel, assembled, the escape by the X-rays of that particular stuff which was put inside, and how it was booby-trapped. So I would say this is the way to go. But if you're talking about the cyber attacks now, I would say this attack is definitely more deadly than the missile attack which was launched by Iran, and against which the defense minister had made a statement, mind you, that our attack is going to be more lethal and more precise. And I think nothing could, describe it better, because you look at the lines of communication, the transport, the government agencies, most of this have been paralyzed. The extent of the damage we don't know, but I would say this has all the makings of that Stuxnet operation, which was again designed by the US and the Israel to weaken Iran's nuclear capability. Once again, I would say this is certainly more lethal and powerful than the missile attacks, and it's good that Israel didn't go for those missile attacks, because it would create a lot of collateral damage too.
Right. Interesting observations there, Mr. Azad. I'm going to ask Eli this question. Eli, your defense minister said that the Israeli attack is going to be more lethal and more precise. Mr. Gallant said that. Do we believe that the cyber attack, we are still trying to understand what the dimensions of this attack on Iran over the weekend are indeed? Do we have reason to believe that this is like a Stuxnet part 2? What do we know about this attack on Iran over the weekend?
Well, that's kind of the beauty, that there is very limited general knowledge. There's a lot of expectation, there's a lot of thought, a lot of discussion about what happened. Frankly, Israel hasn't taken credit or hasn't owned responsibility for what happened.
Yes.
What's happening. And I think that is exactly what Minister Gallant was trying to suggest, was that we haven't even scratched the surface of what Israel's capabilities are.
Yes.
And already, Iran is suffering, as my colleague on the panel was saying earlier, about some of the different ways how it's hampered their communication.
Yes.
It has also led to the point where Iranians are questioning each other's allegiance. They're trying to figure out where are the breaks. That is having a tremendous impact as well. The impact of these kinds of attacks, some are self-made, some may be sabotage, some are done outside, could have been done by Israel, could have been done by other allies. You know, Iran has a lot of enemies, not just Israel. And there is a clear recognition right now that Iran is not nearly as strong as it's projected to the world, and that attracts a certain amount of potential attacks as people are plotting for additional vulnerabilities. I expect we'll see more of that in the coming days.
Absolutely. We will see more of that in the coming days. You know, Mr. Azad, I was in Israel a fortnight ago, and I was speaking to someone, you know, a restaurateur from northern Israel, and he told me that, you know, on the 7th of October last year, it was a black day for Israel because they had been caught napping by what happened, the savagery of Hamas's attack. But on the 17th of September, what Israeli intelligence agencies did restored the confidence of the public in the ability to attack and strike and, you know, strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. He said that, look, we're living at a time when Hezbollah is even afraid to go to the toilet now because they're worried about things exploding. You know, what is the lesson for us here in India, given the fact that we are an IT superpower, but our spends on offensive cyber warfare seem to be very meager in comparison, and we haven't pulled off operations of this kind before. What lessons could the Indian agencies be imbibing from what's actually going on in West Asia right now?
No, I certainly appreciate the concerns expressed that why we are not being so organized as it were. But, you know, things have improved considerably as far as our cyber capability is concerned now. And there are many of the operations which are being conducted which cannot be told here, as my NTRO colleague would also agree. But there is one thing, of course, which is true, that there has to be more coordination, there has to be more streamlining of the, like in Israel. You know, Israel has this IDF unit, I think it's 8200, which is extremely capable. And you know, the most important thing we can see here as an important point mentioned also by my previous panelist was that, you know, that perception of that Iran is not that strong as it were. In terms of, if you see the cyber capability, Israel is one of the superpowers. So there is no comparison. You know, you see the attacks which are coming against us by some of the Chinese hackers which have been employed by the Chinese PLA. But in terms of an organized cyber capability, yes, we have to do a lot of coordination. That I totally agree. And because that is going to be the future of warfare, and very, very effectively demonstrated. In fact, I would say this much even, that the Israel attack on Iran has proven that the cyber attack is the next world's weapon for warfare.
Right, absolutely. Very important observation there, Mr. Azad. The fact that it could be the next generation of warfare. In fact, we've seen a cyber attack, Deepak, being converted into a kinetic attack. I think that was the biggest takeaway from the from the pager operation. But I want to ask Alok Vijayan this. Alok, I've heard numerous lectures of yours. You were a member of NTRO at the very cutting edge of cyber operations, offensive cyber operations. Without giving any operations away or spilling any national secrets, tell us this point that Mr. Azad made of the need for organized cyber capabilities. When you're looking at India, a country that is so huge, we have tens of thousands of IT engineers, software professionals, ethical hackers, all of this. How do you bring them all together under one umbrella to coordinate them better, to organize them better for the kind of challenges that we are facing in the world today?
Yeah, in fact, Sandeep, it's a very nice question that you asked. Uh, it's not that we have not done anything so far as offensive cyber is concerned. We have gone quite ahead. We have done a lot of good stuffs. As Mr. Azad also said, being in the helm of affairs at the national security, Mr. Azad is privy to a lot of things, and so am I. So it's not that we have not done anything, but when such kind of an operation at the global level, when it takes place, there's a lot of learning for us, to take forward and maybe to imbibe in our own strategies, some kind of things. So Israelis' response to the Iran's activities, it's an excellent example of a hybridized warfare.
Right.
As you rightly said, that this was the first time when a cyber attack has got added on with the kinetic strikes and so on. So, in fact, we saw a very unique combination of the abilities in the electromagnetic spectrum, the cyber warfare, the supply chain, affecting the supply chain through influence operations, kinetic strikes, and as well as simultaneously information operations going side by side. It was a unique combination. The way they carried it out, it's a lot of learning for us. The problem with us is not that we are not there in individually into these particular domains, these 5 domains of hybrid warfare. We are there, but the problem is that we are not coordinated well. And like you hear about Israel, you have one unit which is responsible for doing this entire thing. We have so many units that creates a lot of confusion because while you are carrying out action, one action can be it's counter action to an action taken by the other agencies and so on. So there is a definite need of actually an agency which has got executive responsibility as well as under its forefold, it has got the technical team working under it, so that it is all coordinated at one location. It should not be in silos where because in hybridized form of warfare, you cannot you have to have the right timing for doing certain things. So if anything comes on the cyber side front of it, the information operations has to go side by side. The kinetic strikes have to be synchronized with the entire these aspects together. So there has to be one agency which does it. Today in our country, we have almost like 13-14 agencies who are responsible for typically into offensive cyber, which is something which is very counterproductive. And one learning is that the pager attack. It was a very good example, excellent example of a supply chain infections.
Right.
So how do you actually control the supply chains? What is that, the one weak point where you can actually use it for your strategic advantage? That is something very, very interesting to actually observe what Israel has done it. In fact, Israel always leads us in security domain through their own examples, and so they have done it this time also. But only catch here is that this game of asymmetry is all about innovations and out-of-the-box ideas. And these ideas play because somebody in Israel would have got an idea. Okay, let's go back to the pager. But there has to be a reason for the Iranians to actually come back, or Hezbollah to come back on pager from the most modern equipments. So there has to be information domain also acting side by side by saying that, okay, look, your communications are not safe because the kinetic strikes have proven that the moment you emit something, you strike there. So those kind of information and perception also has to be managed side by side. So these are all
it's a very coordinated kind of strategy. But Alok, the thing that jumped out at what you just said to me was the fact that we have 13 to 14 agencies all engaged in offensive cyber. And I think Mr. Azad was very polite about the fact when he said that we really need to organize our cyber capabilities together. But Deepak, before I come to you, quick question to Eli. Did Israel ever have this problem, Eli, the fact that you have multiple agencies, because you have the Army, Navy, Air Force, of course you have the IDF, but every agency, every arm of the armed force would have its own offensive capabilities as well. How did the need for a unit 8200, for instance, arise? The fact that it's a unit that we believe is exclusively dedicated to cyber warfare.
People always ask Israel, or Israelis or the IDF. Why is IDF so effective? Why is it so successful? What's the secret sauce? And many IDF officers will say it's having a very tangible, threatening enemy. Because that enemy is on our doorstep and we constantly feel threatened, we don't have the luxury to be theoretical. All of our actions have to be very practical, have to go into be able to be move into action very, very quickly. So I'm sure there certainly is, any entity like a military has a certain amount of bureaucracy, but we've been enabled to remove some of the fat that kind of get in the way because we have to move into action relatively quickly.
Right, absolutely. A cold start approach, Deepak, as Ili was telling us, the tangible threatening enemy drives you to create quick responses. And while Israel has had its intelligence failures in the past, it's come back spectacularly, like they did on the 17th of September with the pager attacks. And of course, this new attack in Iran that we still don't know the full contours of, but seems to be lethal and precise, as Defense Minister Gallant was saying. But quick thoughts on this, Deepak?
I think the one question that arises, again and again is how safe are we? So one of the critical things about the attack on 17th September was the conversion from, say, cyber warfare to kinetic.
Yes.
Now in a time when we are surrounded by the Internet of Things, where your refrigerator, your door lock, your lamps, the speakers, every single thing is connected with the Internet. What are the possibilities of similar conversions happening, in devices that surround us every day?
Absolutely.
It's the watch on your wrist, it's the phone in your pocket.
It's the watch in your wrist, the phone in your pocket, the pager in your belt, the walkie-talkie in your hand. It could be anything. And if you are an enemy of
your
the
cars
state
for
of
that
Israel,
matter. Your cars for that matter.
you're in big trouble. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for that discussion on Israel's offensive cyber capabilities. There's a lot we can learn from Israel, as we always do. But thank you, Mr. Azad, Eli, Alok Vijayant, and of course my colleague Deepak Badana in the studio here. Great takeaways for us.